Just a bit of a stopgap. But Pang, it was a breakthrough for him. He got to the final there. He doesn't give much away emotionally, but he must have been buzzing last night after that win over Mark Allen, albeit in the end it was quite low in quality, but great excitement.
Yeah, I mean, it was a match where Mark Allen made 2 centuries, but it kind of didn't feel as if it was that sort of performance because he didn't allow himself to play with any fluency. The last frame, it looked like he was getting the upper hand. It was a really typical last frame, which saw many mistakes. But the last mistake was the one that ended up deciding who won, and it was Pang with an unmissable blue.
Well, of course, Mark Selby has had a long break since the World Championship, where he lost in the opening round to Joe O'Connor. Who's clearly not in the best of spirits late last season, was talking about even walking away. That didn't happen, thankfully, but as I say, he's had a chance to get away with his family, reset for the new campaign. Starts it at number 6 in the world. And as I say, his last ranking title was that WST Classic, which is a good sort of 16 months ago now.
It just felt like an interview straight after a match to me. When he said that he wouldn't play on, I would have been staggered if he'd have done anything but just carry on as normal. I think sometimes the microphone is thrust under a player, under their nose, and they say things like that. Would have been disappointed to have lost, but yeah, here he is.
And here's a chance for Selby. Did make a century yesterday. As I say, he was playing obviously the wild card who had beaten Jack Jones, but he always sort of fancied Selby to have enough for him.
Interesting way of playing that shot. Sometimes playing it around 2 cushions, it almost makes it easier to play positionally than perhaps directly
6.
off 1 cushion. You can put your cue through the ball more so.
Seven.
Well, he's going to do well to get a sufficient angle here to open any reds. Cue ball did not travel quite far enough. He may have a slight angle to try and go in off 1 cushion, but the bunch looks very compact. Hard to think that he'll get them open playing it this way. Hard to get enough pace on the cue ball.
12. Touching ball. Mark Selby, 12.
Got a handy little nudge on the green on that shot, which is snookered Mark. Don't think there's a better player I've ever seen playing out of snookers than Selby. Seems to have all the answers.
He's also got a great record in China. He's won 7 ranking titles in China. This, of course, is a big invitation event, but that includes 3 China Opens in that sort of golden spell when he was world #1 for 4 years. It wasn't just the world titles he was winning. He very often seemed to come good in the big Chinese events as well. A couple of international championships in there also. Little tap on the table from Selby. Yeah, apparently it's certainly got reputation for being hard to play. We've seen that really in the last few years since he emerged. Quite methodical, but Mark Selby seems he can play any sort of game. We know he can attack. We know he can grind it out if he needs to. Yeah, he's caught a nice edge of the red.
Pang looking for a similar edge here, very thin contact required. And this time Selby, that final nudge on the green has helped. And there might be a path through between green and blue to some reds, but to get a thin edge of a red mightn't be all that easy. That's a very attacking shot there from Selby, and a good shot actually. He was always going to hit the other red, but the cue was being kind of steered back down the table. Be nice to think he might be a little bit more attacking this season if he was having the discussion as to whether he's going to carry on or not. If that all happened, then I think the one thing you can take out of it is that he probably needs to be a bit more enterprising in some of his shots, because I think he felt that there was a lot of fear in his own game. It became apparent that there was. He didn't have a very good season last campaign. There was good moments, but overall below his best.
Six.
Yeah, I mean, he's talking about trying to enjoy it more and all that, but the problem is, obviously, It's not a problem, it's the reason he's where he is. He's just such a fierce competitor, and that's never going to leave him. Be interesting if he can get back to, you know, winning multiple titles.
But ultimately, it's almost like if he was a boxer, it'd be a counter puncher. You know, I think his natural way of playing is to feed off mistakes. Of course, he can score and he can get in, as we've seen in this frame. But I think with Selby, naturally, he likes to feed off errors made by his opponent. And he doesn't always make the first move, but when he does and it all works, he can do all of it.
Yeah, and it's worth saying, I mean, nobody ever retires, do they? You know, not when they're in their prime. It's been their lives, all of these guys, from boyhood. And if you're earning, as he is, good money from it, I mean, over 400,000 last season was supposed to be a bad season. I suppose, why would you?
Yeah, exactly. I never thought anything else but he'd be back this season for these events.
18.
I mean, the nearest thing to someone retiring somewhere near the top would have been Terry Griffiths, who had just dropped out the 16 in the world, and of course
19.
he retired, and then still, the way the rankings worked then, was able to play in the last qualifier the next season for the World Championships, and he won that and played at the Crucible again, despite basically having retired 12 months before. But the rankings do not work that way anymore, so that would never be possible now.
25.26.
Now, that's not such a good positional shot. You wanted to be further to the left of this red with more speed on the cue ball. So now the cue ball naturally running away somewhat from the reds, and you'll have to play on the red that he's closest to with the cue ball.
Thirty-two.
Well, he might be forced into playing the pink, despite playing on the blue. Blue is no good to him, can't get close to a red, so the pink is likely to be, unless he feels that he can't do anything much with this. He must be looking at other options than the blue. If he could get somewhere over that side of the table, maybe he's got a shot, but he's at sort of mid-range. A little bit more on that cue ball would have been a simple shot to land on a red from his next colour. So, taking the cue ball round the angles to the left side. Played it well.
Thirty-seven.
He's got to be a little careful on this shot because he is going into the reds and perhaps even the pink. Judged very well.
38.
Yes, he's taken these nicely, and 54 in front, so not that much more to do now to count for the opening frame. I remember he came here to Shanghai 2002 for the China Open when he was a teenager, and he beat Ronnie O'Sullivan and Stephen Hendry that week. That was the first sign that, you know, he could be a threat to the elite players. And I also remember there, in between rounds, so in between beating those two, he went out into the Q zone that they had and was taking on the sort of Chinese fans and mixing with them and just enjoying being part of a big tournament.
49. 50.
So this has been, in the end, a really good frame from Selby.
It certainly has. The opening red was a terrific long pot, which he had to hit the other end on the way through. It really was a great way to get in, actually. He wasn't waiting for his chance this
55.
time. So it would be nice to think that he could, if he was able to have a rethink about everything. And I mean, his safety and everything is all there. He's a terrific player, great match player. But if there was any thoughts that he wasn't happy with how
56.
things are going, if he could be more attacking, because it's not as if he can't do it. He really can. As we're seeing here, it's an excellent break.
$62.
Someone else he beat that week in 2002, a 14-year-old Chinese wildcard called Ding Junhui. And he, of course, is up later against Ronnie O'Sullivan on this big day, quarterfinals day.
$69. $70.
Yeah, you'd think there'd be some atmosphere in this venue this evening for that match. They're both their favourite sons, really, aren't they? I think Ding Junhui still heavily supported, and O'Sullivan is a superstar wherever he goes, but especially in Asia. So, I mean, I think the crowd will be torn here. They want to win that one.
Yeah, it's going to be a competitive match and also a massive love-in. Ronnie loves Ding, Ding loves Ronnie, and the crowd love them both. So it's going to be a great occasion. But first things first, this is a terrific session to open up with, as Mark Selby attempts to make a century here.
$83.
Well, the break ends at 83, but it's a fine start for Mark Selby, attempting to reach the semi-finals of the Shanghai Masters. He leads Pang Shengsu 1-0. Best of 11 once again. The semis, by the way, best of 19, so there'll be two session affairs played one each day over Friday and Saturday. Final best of 21, first to 11. On the other table, Sean Murphy and Zhou Yulong. Murphy in front there, 56-0, and he's got Zhou here in a spot of bother, to say the least. Snooker behind this brown. Reds everywhere. Not nice.
No, it's not very easy to see which red you'd like to land up to. They're scattered around, aren't they, the remaining reds? Interesting red to try and hit twice across there, but it'll go back anyway. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Murphy is a red-hot favourite in the frame because at the moment Zhou Yulong has got a few problems getting out of the snooker.
1-0 to Mark Selby, 83 the break in frame 1 here against Pang Sheng-su in the quarterfinals of the Shanghai Masters. As we wait for frame 2 to get underway. Big arena this, the Shanghai Indoor Stadium. And the crowds have been very enthusiastic so far. Of course, this was the first event back in China last year after the enforced absence because of the pandemic.
Oh, it's such a good shot. I mean, they are very difficult to roll them in from under the cushion rail at the angle of the pot. All good. I mean, he is a little straight on the black. You can't have everything, obviously. If he had an angle, he could have done something with this. But being straight suggests there isn't really an easy way to get onto a red, if there is a way at all. So that was the only downside to what was a very good opening red.
8. Mark Selby, 8.
I'm sure Pang is hoping at some point to see a pot, but he's been frozen out at the moment.
Yeah, that's ill-directed.
Foul. Enemies.
Free ball, I think, but I don't think he'll take it.
No.
No.
Look, is that red? I see the sign.
Well, it's clearly a free ball, but there you are.
Yeah.
Peggy Lee says no.
Both sides.
No way. No way is it not a free ball. It's 8, to be honest, it's absolutely guaranteed to be a free ball, that.
I beg your pardon, it is a free ball because the pink covers the side of the red. Yes. Yeah. 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 But the pink covers this side. Yeah. It is. Yeah.
Yeah, well, she's changed her mind. It is a free ball.
Interesting one, wasn't it? I mean, clearly it was a free ball, and Peggy, for once, got that wrong. It's most unusual for her to do so. But it didn't feel like even a free ball was any use until it was established that the pink went. And I thought Mark was very reasoned there, wasn't he? He knew that it was one, but he asked very politely and got his way.
Yeah, I think that is one thing in snooker that you do see, don't you? There's a kind of respect for officials. It's not always the case. I was at Wimbledon last week, and some of the sort of conduct towards umpires, just the way they were spoken to, they seem to take it in good part, but it's very different, put it that way.
Well, it's kind of crept back into tennis a little bit, hasn't it? Because when the Hawkeye and all the line decisions were done in the way they're done now, it took the dissent out of the game, but it is creeping back in, I think, to tennis.
Thank you. One.
It's a shot that he plays so well, Mark Selby. I mean, most of the players do that shot where you play a bulk colour, the brown
5.
usually, and just swing the cue ball round. There's a lot of room to manoeuvre on those. He's a bit unlucky to be under the cushion.
6.
This time he does have a nicer angle on the blue. First time in the match that he's been on it perfectly. Directly into the bunch. Of course, you can always knock one in if you split them. Hopefully, from Mark's point of view, you won't. Great split. I don't know whether
11.
the two reds are easy to pot to the bottom left pocket, but as you can see, the pinks very much in play. If he has to play a different red, he's a bit unlucky that he's not on an easier one than this. I think he's unlucky there, Selby, given that it was a great split and that rest shot was not an easy one to follow it up.
Well, that's not the dawn chorus, that's a phone going off.
Well, he took his time, but it was a nice shot. That cue ball needs to hold up here. That's a bit unlucky, I think. Again, the speed of the bed of the table, it always felt it'd be nicely on a bulk colour, but now he's on the bulk line. Just kept going.
Hang Junxu, 1.
Well, is it an example of what I was saying earlier about Selby's prowess out of playing from snookers? He might as well not bother, actually, because he's so good at escaping. That was some shot. A little swerve onto the first cushion. But his knowledge of the angles is, as I say, as good as anybody's, I think.
Sean Murphy's won the opening frame against Zhou Long. He was well in front and he had him trapped in a nasty snooker. Tight behind the brown, reds everywhere. Murphy, of course, beat John Higgins yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, that didn't look much, that shot from Pang, but actually he's opened the black up and he's pushed all the reds away from it. So Selby is in a spot of bother, because if you leave a chance from here, you'd assume that your opponent would make some from it. You can see reds, but not a thin edge very easily to get back down the table. Now, Pang might have to himself, speaking about Selby taking on shots, I think Pang might have to go down that route if he's got a chance of winning this match. I mean, there's a red to middle here, which is not nice, but if it was to go in, it might bring about some rewards. He's unlikely to beat Mark Selby if it gets very tactical. Well, he's earned the chance and now he must take it. He's got to be able to reach this red, which is not. It's a bit of a stretch, but if it goes in, what an opportunity this is.
One.
I think he's working out the best place to land the cue ball down the right channel here. It gives him plenty of options. Reds to left corner, left middle. But he's gone the other route for now. Black, when potted, will just land on the pink spot, so it's almost roles reversed. The black spot, sure, he's mostly occupied by the pink.
6.
Well, he looked at a lot of things
13.
in the last 2 shots, but he's finished in just about the only place where nothing is on, so he'll be annoyed with himself. He is a very cautious player these days. When he first appeared on the tour, he was a little more fluent than he is now. He's doing well, of course. His game is in good shape, but sometimes it doesn't really find his rhythm because he's looking at a lot of stuff between shots.
13.
Yeah, I mean, just 13 scored from what was a really good opportunity. Sean Murphy just going 2-0 up next door against Zhou Yulong. All those years ago, him and Selby would be playing in those junior events, Willie Thorne's. Selby was desperate for that cue ball to sort of come in behind the green there because the red has gone near to this right corner. So this is another chance for Pang.
One.
Played that well to hold for the pink. Yeah, those pro-ams in Leicester at Willie Thorne's club, which were organised by Willie Thorne's brother Malcolm. A lot of players are very thankful that they were involved in those because it's a real good grounding and to learn match play against similarly talented players. Setup that doesn't exist anymore. There are, some places where tournaments take place. The Northern Snooker Centre.
7.
There are many pro-ams at weekends, so it's not completely done with. But so many good players were around at that time coming through.
Eight.
Yes, the most important component in any sporting career is opportunity. You need to have the opportunity to play. That's why most of the best players have been from the UK, because that's where all the structure's been until recent times when, of course, China have invested heavily into the sport. And here we are today, quarterfinals day, 4 Englishmen against 4 Chinese players, as if to illustrate the point.
11.
Well, it's his second good chance now, Pang, in this frame to put something together and try and get the match levelled. I think the points are going on. Yeah, they've got to go on his score, not Selby's. Mark Selby's maybe too good to be given points. He's not actually scoring.
$19. $20.
Well, we have to score back, as you can see. He's now 15 in front.
But this is the chance he has to really take. I mean, he wouldn't want to bring Selby back into the frame when he's done all the hard work in bringing about these chances.
27.
I think he likes to be in control of the cue ball at close quarters. You know, everyone plays this game differently. Pang is something of a touch player, I feel. And he really wants to succeed. You know, the hours of practice he puts in. Everyone tells me it's you know, almost never off the table practicing on his own.
$33. $34. $40. $41.
So 36 the lead with this pink. Realistically wants the two open reds to ensure he's won this frame.
$47. $48.
He's taken these well, and he is just—he's never going to be a, really quickly around the table. I mean, that's fair enough. Everyone's got their own speed that they play at, and you wouldn't want everyone playing at the same speed. And he's always going to be slightly slower than some others, but he's getting on with it now. He's done well here. In fairness, I said he's not going to beat Selby unless he attacks, but he defeated him in safety a couple of times.
56.
So credit for that. Very talented player. If he could just get a little bit more rhythm to his game, then he will move to the next level because he's doing well. I can't imagine he's somebody that you'd enjoy the prospect of playing.
No, he's never sort of going to be a flair player, is he? But in this visit, he has got on with it. He's not been looking too much at things or overthinking things. Clearly quite steely. We've seen that already. 2 deciders he's won, of course, against Gary Wilson and Mark Allen. Should have done enough here. 51 in front, 35 on. Mark Selby stays in his chair. And so Pang Zhongzhu has levelled up. He's having quite a dramatic week here in Shanghai, and he's all square with the 4-times world champ. Sean Murphy is 2-0 up against Zhou Yulong. Zhou at the table here in the early stages of frame 3. He had such a terrific win yesterday, of course, against the world champion, Karen Wilson. But what he's looking for is a big breakthrough. He's been in a few finals already, of course, but get his hands on a trophy. He seems he's quite high up that list now. You know, there's a sort of list of players yet to win a big tournament. He'd be on it for sure.
It's a question we're often asked, isn't it? Who's going to be the next ranking tournament winner? I wonder if anyone else has got any thoughts on that. Let us know, Dave and I. But usually it's a player that we haven't thought of. In the case of last year, Zhang Anda getting that first ranking event, I don't think he was on anybody's list, despite turning out to be a really top player.
Yeah, of course, the first tournament of the season, we nearly had a new winner. Jackson Page got to the final of the Championship League, but Ali Carter did prevail there.
Well, Jackson, you know, you could have had him on that list, couldn't you? Because he is still improving.
Yeah, there's a big sort of week of qualifiers coming up, isn't there? There's 3 ranking event qualifiers in Leicester next week, so a lot of the guys who are hoping to break through have firstly got to navigate all of that. As we wait for Selby and Pang to resume, it's 2-0 to Sean Murphy against Zhou Yulong. An interesting one, this. Murphy was pretty good overall against John Higgins for sort of early season. I think he'd be delighted with the performance and the win over one of the greats. But Zhou Yulong, he had all the headlines yesterday, really. 6-0 over Karen Wilson, the world champion. It's 4-1 to Murphy on the head-to-head. But Zhou did win the most recent meeting at the Northern Ireland Open 2022, and of course that was the year he got to the final there in Belfast. He's now been in 3 ranking finals. Zhou, of course, came very close to making it 4 at the Scottish Open last season, that match with Gary Wilson. I'm sure he's sick of people bringing it up, but he did celebrate, didn't he? And snooker's required, and Gary got them. As for Murphy, he does need a good season. This is not a ranking tournament, but when they restart, he's got a lot of points coming off during the campaign, so he'll be looking to make a fast start to the season and try and bed himself in to that top 16. We saw last season with Neil Robertson what can happen if that doesn't happen. So Pang on the scoreboard, 1 each here.
Well, it was worth the risk, and it seems the shot he played was risk-free, if you like, not leaving anything on. It's always a concern when you miss the double and you hit the top jaw and it comes back down the table towards the cue ball. But unless he pulls something out of the hat here, he's not left an easy shot. Pang looking at, I don't know, what is he looking at here? Is he looking at the plant? Wow, those two reds. I mean, they'd have to be set, and I'm not sure he can quite get to the potting angle. They don't seem to be in line either. So my eyes are gone, which is possible. Well, we're going to see if he's right here. He's playing a very ambitious shot by the looks of the way he's weighing it up. Wow, it was on. Brilliant. I mean, I wasn't sure whether he could get to enough of the red to make it the dead set plant, but he knew it was there. I must say, I thought from looking at it, it was hitting the top cushion rather than going straight into the pocket, but it's given him this great chance now.
Yes, and suggests he's feeling good as well, confident after that 62 in the last frame. Of course, he's appeared the last 2 years at the Crucible. It's not easy to get through those qualifiers. You've got to win a couple of best of 19s. Of course, he took the Milkman, Robert Milkins to a decider. Played O'Sullivan on his debut.
It may be okay if he's on that red to left corner. The other red, of course, all good queuing. Yeah, I mean, we saw at the end of his match with Mark Allen, it got very tense and he fell over the line. And against Rob Milkins, I must say the last frame was quite a similar story. Balls missed, important ones under pressure.
Well, it's not the most comfortable shot in the world, this. Dead still, though, wasn't he, as he played it?
You saw Peggy Lee looking right down at the floor there, and that's because you have to have part of your foot on the ground. Can't just climb up on the table. It would be a foul. Never seen anyone make that foul before, however. And it's kind of okay, just about crept in. This is a bit of a queuing test, this next shot, though. See, this just failing off the top jaw, this one.
15.
Not entirely clean, but he still played well enough.
23. $24. $31. $32. $39. $40.
As mentioned earlier, you can see the kind of player he is, and you know, the good thing about snooker is that even though you just see a 12-by-6 table, everyone approaches it differently. He's more of a touch player than most I've seen for a young player. You look at someone like a Jackson Page, who's big, long-flowing, expansive
47.
cue action. Pang is a little shorter and more compact. Both young, talented players.
48.
Yeah, he's definitely dangerous, isn't he? I mean, at times, we saw it yesterday, when he got close, he was sort of doubting himself and not sure what to do, but he was very decisive in this frame. He spied that plant. Didn't look guaranteed, but he weighed it up. That's how he got in, and he's still going. And Selby is sort of just, at the moment, a bit of a spectator.
I reckon he's never played billiards before, but I'd suggest if he did, he'd be quite good at it, because
55.
he's got a nice, close control. I don't suppose he's got any time to play billiards. He's too busy practicing snooker all the time. But I think he'd be quite good at it if he did.
$56.
Almost. The next shot is an example of that. Lovely, gentle little cannon. And a billiards player would be delighted with. It's good stuff, this. I'm seeing the best of him here.
$62. $63.
Well, he needs another red after this black. There's a big break on here. Obviously, red's down in bulk, but first things first, secure the frame, which he's surely going to do.
$70. $71.
Applause for frame ball, and indeed for the quality of this break, which began with that plan. Had a couple of early hurdles to get over, but he's kept it going well. He's got on with it as well. He's been decisive. Suggests he's feeling good. And up for the big challenge here against Mark Selby.
77. $78.
It's quite unusual for such a big break to be on and the Reds to be so
83.
awkward from here on in. I mean, usually if you make this many and it's all Reds and high value colours, then most of the other balls are out there in the open as well. And I'd be
84.
quite surprised if he did make the total clearance where the balls are. Even getting on the next red from here is not easy. The damage has well and truly been done, however. As an example of what I mean, it was a really awkward shot. Might have to play the double now. I think he has to.
91.
Well, it was a terrific break. 91 from Pang Junsu. So
91.
Mark Selby
Conceded.
dominated the first frame, but since then, Pang has dominated the match. He leads 2-1. Now then, table 2, we have Sean Murphy and Zhou Yulong, and it's 3-0 to Murphy there, so the magician, as he's known, he's turning it on so far. It was, of course, 6-0 yesterday to Zhou against Karen Wilson. Sean Murphy has had breaks of 57 and 70, and Zhou's only scored 30 points.
Well, Murphy, I thought, looked very good yesterday in his win against John Higgins, who in turn had played well against Liu Shan on the opening day. So, you know, it's only one match, but when you start a season and you get a win against someone like John Higgins, then clearly the game is in good fettle. And it seems to be that Murphy is playing well, continuing that. And he's a very dangerous player, as we know. He's just been a bit quiet for a season or so.
With an anxious start to the week, his cue hadn't made it off the plane with him, so he had a day without it, but they're reunited. It's only one cue, not the 3 that was talked about last year.
Yes, I didn't want to say anything about that because he wants us to not talk about it because he knows it was a complete nonsense what he was saying. So he wants that to go away, I think, those 3 cues.
Well, we'll see about that. So Mark Selby was looking good there in frame 1, but Pang Junsu looked very good since. Won the second frame, and then in the third he spied that plant to the yellow pocket and made a 91 break to win the frame. 2-1 to him. One more frame before the interval here on quarterfinals day at the Shanghai Masters.
Frame 4. Mark Selby to break.
Well, if you're going to play off the side of the bunch, you know, there is a nice area behind brown and yellow to land the cue ball, but of course playing off the bunch on a table as rapid as this one, there's always a chance of red will drift out near a pocket. You have to look at the bunch of reds, see where they're all going to go. Such a difficult shot to play off the pack. There's a little bit too much left-hand side. They swerved it away from the red and got a thin contact, but it looks to have done no damage unless Selby can turn the compliment and find a plant, which he doesn't seem to have found.
Well, he's only 2-1 down, Selby, but it's just the way Pang's won these two frames. And just giving him a little pause for thought. He knows he's involved in a tough match here. Selby did win the Championship League last year, the invitation version last season, so being the champion of champions, he said, you know, his sort of approach this season is to pick and choose, but the point is you want to be in most of the big tournaments. You know, there's not many you want to miss. The Players Series as well, if you get in those, obviously you're going to play in all of them.
Yeah, a lot of them say it, but the only person who tends to do it is O'Sullivan, isn't he? The others all say they're going to pick and choose and play in everything. Obviously, Judd Trump missed one event last season, to my knowledge anyway.
One.
But invariably they play because that's what they do for a living. And I think sometimes you feel like you're in need of a long break, but after a week or two you're almost itching to get back to it.
It's a great read, this. Yeah, I agree. I think obviously you don't. It's obvious, but you don't want to be sat at home with a big tournament on. You're not in it. There's no reason why you wouldn't play most of them.
Sounded a bit like a heavy contact, that. The cue ball didn't run through quite as far as he expected. But he hasn't reacted to it. So he must think he's just about all right. Too much cannon on his mind.
Selby 6.
He was all about getting the cannon right there. And that was divided concentration. He forgot the pot. Almost a similar story. Selby will be thrilled to be back at the table so quickly. think Pang was also looking at what the cue ball was going to do, and the pot became secondary.
All rest. Yeah. One. Six.
Well, he'd be annoyed to have finished there. If he's got a red up into a bulk pocket, he'll be almost looking at that, but he's got terrible cueing. And the worst thing is he's got bad cueing, and he knows the cue ball should not be here. Now this becomes a missable shot as well. Good recovery.
7.
'11 was the year he won this title and beat Mott Williams in a very, very dramatic final, because it was a ranking event then. 9-7 down snooker, played a kind of hit and hope really out the snooker, and it wasn't immediately clear which ball he'd hit, but the problem in a way was he hadn't left a pot on. So he got a bit of fortune and eventually won 10-9. Still relatively early, I suppose, in his career in terms of winning tournaments, but my word, he's made up for it since. 22 ranking events.
13.
37 pro titles.
Yeah, and also, you know, you think about the World Championship final. Where he lost to Luca Bracel. You know, I think a lot of circumstances came together for him to lose that
20.
match. Firstly, Bracel was brilliant and deserved it. You know, he's a worthy champion. But Selby's semi-final against Mark Allen was grueling, long.
21.
And whatever he did last season, he was almost going into last season as, under different circumstances, as a world champion again. So he got very close, and it's only not even 18 months ago. Good shot. The other thing about the World Championships is it does take a lot out of a player. I mean, Selby didn't quite come back at the start of last season all that well, I felt. You look at Luca's season, really poor one, let's be honest. And already the two finalists from Sheffield have not exactly done well this week, have they?
$29.
Well, he was largely shut out for 2 frames, but Mark Selby
36.
doing what he does here, sticking to his task.
$37.
got a bit more to do, hasn't he, from here, though? It's not an easy shot, this queuing down on the ball. Played it well. And they're going in quite nicely down the cushions. So he'll be confident that he can knock this red in and get onto the black again.
44.
And if he does, surely he's going to make it 2-2, already 50-odd in front.
45.
It's been high quality this match. It's been good safety played and there's been scoring.
$52. $53.
It's been a good 4 frames. You know, there have been 1 or 2 mistakes made in this frame, more than any of the others actually, but the standard's been quite high.
Yeah, if you're just tuning in, Mark Selby made an 83 break in the first. Pang's had 62 and 91.
58.
And Selby on 58 here. Chance maybe to make a century. Of course, John Higgins, he didn't get to 1,000 this week, so he's got 2 qualifiers at the Mattioli Arena in Leicester where that landmark could happen. Not quite the same, but
59.
still a great achievement either way. Anyway, this pink, it should be 2-2.
$65. 66.
Yeah, they both missed a red to the left corner of this frame, didn't they? Selby looking at the cannon. Concentration was not completely on the pot, and the next shot, Pang missed the opening red into the same pocket with kind of a similar story.
73. 74.
Well, he did make a century yesterday to take his career tally to
79.
822.
$80.
Oh, that was a
Mark
very
80.
unexpected miss. He's won the frame, obviously, but 80 the break. So, yeah, high-quality stuff, really, from both players. Pang played 2 very good frames to lead 2-1. Mark Selby, though, dominated the 4th. At the interval, they're level at 2-2. Now, we're going to go over to table 2 and show you what's been happening in frame 4. Zhou Yulong 3-0 down here to Sean Murphy, who's in first in frame 4. So a very different story to yesterday when Zhou, of course, beat Corin Wilson 6-0.
There's one top player followed by another top player, isn't it, in this Shanghai Masters, who you're going to have to play. I suppose you've got no time to think about what a great win and whitewashing the recently crowned world champion. When the next day you get up and you've got Sean Murphy waiting in the opposite chair. They're just hard matches. That's why you have to be consistent to keep winning and to win a tournament. And I think Murphy looked sharp. said earlier, I was really impressed by him actually in that match with John Higgins. I thought he played really well. He could have won slightly easier than he did. Higgins pegged him back a frame, but he's still got over the line soon after.
Well, that's gone wrong. Little click of the fingers. He was just getting into a nice position to make it 4-0. So some sort of chance maybe for Zhou shortly. This is frame 4 of the quarter-final between Shaun Murphy and Zhou Yilong. 3-0 to Murphy. He was looking like 4-0. Just lost his way there. Didn't get on the colour. 26-0 the lead. Still trouble, clearly, for Zhou here, who had, of course, the win yesterday over Wilson, but that's all gone. This is a real test now. He played brilliantly, actually, against Barry Hawkins in the first match of the week. He had 3 centuries in a row at one point there. Won 6-4, but really did the heavy hitting. Oh, and what a red that is.
Yeah, terrific red, and opening up a lot of doors in the frame, and it is a frame you really need. And you know, when your opponent finally misses one, I suppose you've got to be there to take full advantage. Cannon required here, though, which is quite a significant one.
Well, so far in 2 matches, he's had the 3 centuries and 5 half centuries. So he has, when the chances have come along, and indeed the chances he's forced himself, made the most of them. He's got to do that here. He's got to try and stay in touch. We know how confident a player Murphy is. 4-0. Doesn't really seem as much of a way back, but obviously 3-1 could be a different story.
Well, he's found a little gap that he can get through to this red.
आपके सामने कुछ ब्रिक्स दिखाई दे रहे हैं। इन ब्रिक्स के पीछे एक वर्ड है जो छुपा हुआ है। क्या आप बता सकते हैं वो वर्ड कौन सा है? चलिए आपको कुछ ऑप्शंस देते हैं। और पहला ऑप्शन ये रहा आपके पास कैट, दूसरा ऑप्शन है आपके पास पेन, तीसरा ऑप्शन है आपके पास सन और चौथा ऑप्शन है आपके पास टॉय। सोचिए और बताइए कमेंट सेक्शन में कि आपको कौन सा वर्ड है दिखाई दे रहा है। चलिए आपकी थोड़ी मदद करता हूं। कुछ नहीं करना है, एक रेक्टेंगुलर आउटलाइन तैयार करिए और बीच में 2 वर्टिकल लाइन लगाइए। और अगर अभी भी नहीं बता पाए तो ये देखिए सॉल्यूशन ये रहा आपके सामने। जी, अब उम्मीद करता हूं कि अब आपको क्लियर हो गया होगा कि वो कौन सा वर्ड है।
अगर आपकी न्यू चैनल मुझे ये जानना है कि इतनी खूबसूरत मस्जिद है कहाँ पर। सुबहान अल्लाह, माशाअल्लाह, वाकई में बहुत ही खूबसूरत है। पर ये है कहाँ पर? आप में से किसी को पता है क्या? कमेंट में बताइए ना। मुझे
क्या आपने कभी सोचा है कि
मुझे ये जानना है कि
Yeah, nice cannon. I mean, it was on, but still got to make sure you don't hit that right-hand red full ball and be close to the one now that he's going to play. But I think you've got to draw on the fact that he's been playing well all week.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम दोस्तों, तो आज मैं आ गया हूँ जमजम कैफे। जैसे कि आप लोग जानते ही है, बहुत सारे लोग शायद जानते होंगे, नाम भी सुने होंगे। तो मैं बहुत तेज भूख लगी थी तो मैं आ गया हूँ। पता नहीं मन में क्या ख्याल आया, बस आ गया हूँ। देखता हूँ आज यहाँ का खाना कैसा लगता है। तो स्वागत है आप सबका मेरे एक न्यू ब्लॉग में। आइए यहाँ से थोड़ा बाहर का नज़ारा आप लोग देख सकते हैं।
Really confident here.
Yes, it always had the makings of an attractive match based on of these two, not only what their players they are, but the way they have been playing this week.
So, just enough on for a century. He's already made 3 in the tournament. Well, Sean Murphy made the early running. 3-0, 26-0. Show you Long potted a great red, and he's made a terrific break. And this black for his 4th century of the week. Either way, 3-1 at the interval, a match still anybody's. Well, great clearance that. That will make him feel good as the players head to the mid-session interval. Murphy, though, on top. Well, that was off tape, that century, so these are the live pictures now of frame 5, and Zhou Yulong in first there. Just looked very confident, didn't he, as he made that century. It's not quite gone to plan, he's just slightly the wrong side of the blue. But he's already made 4 centuries in the tournament. The record actually in this event is 8. Ronnie O'Sullivan's done that twice. So were Zhou to win this match, he'd be going into a best of 19, possibly a best of 21 final. A chance to threaten that record. Well, it's a terrific part. As the players return to table 1, where of course Mark Selby and Pan Zhongzhu are level at 2-2.
Frame 5, Pang Jianxu to break.
Well, we're just underway again between Mark Selby and Pan Zhongzhu. 2-2, set up nicely. It's been good stuff between these two. Some heavy scoring, some good safety as well. Best of 11 to reach the semi-finals here in Shanghai. And the winner plays Shaw Murphy or Zhou Yulong. That's 3-1 to Murphy. They are resuming as well on table 2. That's live on Discovery Plus. Later on, we've got Judd Trump against Si Jiahui, and the big match on table 1, which we'll have live for you, Ronnie O'Sullivan against Ding Junhui. And they haven't played in China against each other for 15 years. It was this tournament, Shanghai Masters, in 2009. So that's going to be a massive occasion, clearly.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when you said that yesterday, actually, Dave, because I can think of an awful lot of matches they've played since then elsewhere, mostly in the UK. Not only that, in the UK Championship as well. So yeah, it's going to be a difficult one for the fans to choose, but I just think it's a pretty hot ticket here in this venue tonight.
Yeah, the last time they actually played was at the World Grand Prix, wasn't it, last season? And Ronnie, I mean, turned it on, doesn't even get close to explaining how well he played. He was unbelievable. Won 6-1. Absolutely dazzling display. But, you know, Ding, a couple of years ago at the UK, beat him 6-0, didn't he? So we will see. Looking forward to it.
Foul.
Yeah, well, he got close to the red, but he seems not close enough to make it easy to pot, even with ball in hand now. Last thing I'll say about Ding Junhui, it might be he sort of enjoyed the fact we're playing in Shanghai, but he'd probably still rather play in York, wouldn't he? Because he's got such a great record in that event. I don't know quite why. Maybe it's just the UK Championship he loves. But his record in York is superb. Yeah, once again, playing off the side of the bunch, it can be problematic. You know, ball can go close to a pocket. Well, he's got the cue ball in such a place that he would have been unlucky to leave one. I mean, he has kind of left that red, but goodness, it's horrible. The pot is difficult, and cue balls could finish anywhere. Yeah, he's not playing it, he's just dropping onto the left-hand red. Well, as ever, when you get a slightly prolonged safety exchange, it's not quite at that stage, but the black now surrounded by reds, which means it's not going to be that easy to score. Just creeping further down the table, those reds, aren't they, over towards the black spot. I suppose there was an argument to go for that long red, but I mean, it's actually quite a good shot that he played. Again, you know, he's competing with Selby in the safety, although I think he'll do well to keep that going. You know, he forced the odd mistake out of Selby mid-session interval and then exploited those chances. But really, you still feel that this kind of exchange will play into Selby's hands in the long run. Especially when you fluke balls like that. That was quite an attacking option from Selby. He really went into those reds with a thick contact. I mean, an argument, more than one red could have gone in there.
Five. Six. Blue ball.
Yeah, it wasn't a very easy shot, was it? Because he was faced with
Selby 6.
Slightly awkward cueing. He also wanted to avoid hitting a bulk colour, and you can miss those, as you saw there.
One.
There's really not much here that he can do. The options are thin on the ground. And that's not really going to frighten Selby or anyone else, although he might have left that red on, actually. Selby might still be thinking, despite the fact that he's got a touching ball, that he should go for this red to right corner.
One.
Well, that little nudge off the left middle pocket bump has worked out well, because I don't know the cue ball would have been in a perfect place had he not got that nudge. And all of a sudden now it's laid out. A strange exchange that, wasn't it, from Pang Jin-soo, because he was in a bit of trouble. I don't know quite what he could have done when he was on that black, but he was happy to just leave the red on. Maybe there was nothing else he could do. It's one of those situations where he basically had seemingly no shot.
No, I mean, you made the point. He practices all day long, but he won't have practiced that scenario, I'm sure. So he just had to try and do something, but there weren't many options. Could be very costly. Selby made that 80 break in the frame before the interval. Could have been a century. Ooh, and that pink has stayed out.
Selby 13.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I looked at there was the cannon on the two reds, and it didn't seem the cannon had worked out, so then you realise maybe the pot was offline, and it was. Well, where did that come from? I mean, we saw John Higgins miss a pretty glaringly poor red to middle. Bad mistake, and it changed the context of his match with Shaun Murphy. I mean, it was, I guess, no more simple than that pink that we've just seen missed.
Well, they had all the long stuff out there, didn't he? But in the end, he missed it by some distance. So Mark Selby has not been immediately punished for that miss pink. Well, Shaun Murphy has just made a clearance to steal the fifth frame on the black against Zhou Yulong. So 4-1, big moments on table 2. 4-1 to Murphy.
Quite a good safety shot from Pang, because he was blocked off the main bulk of reds down the centre by the positioning of the cue ball behind the brown. Well, once again, Pang did win that safety exchange. Not that he's got an easy starting red, but he put Mark Selby in a quite a lot of bother there.
One.
It's a really nice shot. That is really well played. It's never a nice angle on a red, because you know that if you put too much bottom on the cue ball, your cue ball is heading towards the right middle. So you've got to control it and not miss the potting angle. Beautiful shot. I don't think there's a player that would ever like a shot of that kind. Can he get onto a red from this blue? Yeah, the red by the black spot looks to be on. Clearly the one to the left of it is also there. It's got possibilities, this chance. Still got a lot to do, but he could get the reds opened up.
Seven.
Well, hitting the bump has actually done him no favours, because now the angle on the blue is not there. Shame, because he has opened up the reds that were around the black spot. Well, this is a big shot to play, goodness.
Brown ball.
It's brown. This is an attacking shot. It's much more difficult than the blue, of course. Usually, if you're going to play the brown when you're too straight on the blue, you wouldn't have your hand on the side cushion. Well, there you are. It was quite ill-directed. It was a good pot, but he didn't mean to play directly down, or certainly off the one cushion. Didn't expect to see him going off into the right corner there, of all the things that could have happened. It's kind of a slightly risky shot. He could have pushed that red further up and left it there. I don't know if he's left anything. It appears not.
Foul. And Pang Jinshu, 4.
Well, this has been the only sort of drawn-out frame so far. There's only 7 points in it.
One.
Very good pot from Pang, but the colours not favourable down there.
Now, he either wanted the cue ball to stop and be on the green or to go a little bit further to play yellow. I don't know if he can get to the yellow to pot it. He'd love to have an angle to get on to one of the reds to the left corner. It looks like he's going to have to play the snooker, but as we say, you'd expect
Brown ball.
the escapologist Selby to find a way of not leaving anything from it, whatever he puts him in. There's got to be a snooker out there that Selby can't get out of. But it doesn't come up very often, and this is not going to be it either. He can get to the right cushion. And one thing he hasn't done here is hit it hard enough, so
Foul. Enemies.
the line, of course, is always going to be on point. Interesting one. If the reds go to the left middle, he would put him in again, and he wouldn't mind if Selby did hit that bottom red, because he would leave a red to middle, perhaps.
Happy for this now?
Yeah, it's going a different way, interestingly, because of that very reason that all of a sudden he realised the reds to the middle went. I won't go now.
Well, every frame counts the same, of course. This is due to be a lengthy one. It's been quite rapid, really, so far. Breaks in all the first 4 frames. Well, he's right in line here. Yeah.
Foul.
Sort of knew that was going to happen, I think.
Yes, and he's going to give a real test of cueing to Panjin Su here. I mean, it's worth the risk, I think. If you can put it, I'm guessing he'd like to put it dead straight and then see if you can cue down that line and pop the red. Beautiful shot. He didn't put it straight and hold for the black, which I thought he would. Now he's relying on an angle, and this time on the green he does, but it's a, on this very fast cloth, it's a hard shot to judge this perfectly to land on a red. Anywhere on the left side, he should have something. decided to go into them. I don't know how he's not hit a ball there. I mean, he's gone right into the reds and missed them all. Perfect now, by luck.
5.
That was amazing. I don't know why he didn't play on that red in the first place. But he is quite good, as I say, at close quarters on these sort of shots. He's a real touch player.
And
of all the players on the tour from China that we see up, and Ding Junhui is a wonderful touch player, positional player, cue ball control. Peng is kind of more similar to Ding than one or two of the other players we see coming through. Si Jiahui is an incredible potter, devastating scorer, who's another one in the argument that he's going to win something big fairly soon, I would say. He's playing tonight. A little blockbuster match with Judd Trump.
$21.
Yeah, I mean, he's too straight on the black, so now he's just looking at whether he could come back with the cue ball and roll the red down the cushion. Either way, any angle would be better than straight, which does limit his options of getting on a red. It's one of these situations where the longer you look at this, you realise there's nothing new is going to come up in the way of options here. Well, you must think this table is generous, because
28.
he wouldn't really be playing this shot down the cushion otherwise. Well, it is generous.
29.
Probably going to end up going behind the brown. If he makes this a hard snooker, then we might see Selby miss one, because he's only got one ball to aim at, and that ball is tight on the cushion. So this is another test of Selby's brilliance at escaping.
Well, he's 31 behind, yeah, so were he to miss, he could only tie. Oh, he's just gone past it. Did he hit that?
Well, I've heard nothing from Peggy Lee. I saw nothing from any deflections, but I don't think it's one of those odd ones. It doesn't matter, I don't think, because surely he's going to run this in.
Obviously just brushed it, but either way, just drop the red in. It should be 3-2 to Peng.
Well, after that red, he potted into the other corner pocket. He's never going to miss that one. Yeah, I mean, I saw no contact whatsoever, but Peggy Lee was on the spot, and I think she just nodded to the marker He may have asked the question.
32 then in front, 27 on. He's snookered him. Pang is proving, and it's what he is. We kind of know he is stubborn here, and that's what you've got to be, of course. Well,
foul.
It's gone about as bad as it could. And Mark Selby's conceded. So slightly outfoxed in the end in that frame, and it's Pang Shengzhou who's edged in front here in Shanghai at 3-2. Yeah, it's quite a lengthy frame there, 33 minutes just about. So Sean Murphy on table 2, 5-1 up. Looking very good to become the first man into the semi-finals.
Yeah, I mean, one thing about Murphy is, you know that his best is good enough to do anything. You know, he could be world champion again and in a number of finals, but he doesn't always play to that level. But his best is still good enough, I think. And this could be his week. Big events, he's no stranger to winning.
Yeah, Murphy seems to be in a bit of a pattern of having a really good season, then a poor one. So if last season, by his standards, was poor, this season may turn out to be really good. We'll see. He did win a title, actually, last season, Championship League, but obviously that was right at the start of the campaign. So, 34-minute frame has gone to Pang Shengzhou. He leads Mark Selby 3-2. It's best of 11 for a place in the semi-finals. It seems likely that whoever comes through will play Sean Murphy. He's 5-1 up against Xiao Yilong on table 2.
Frame 6, Mark Selby to break.
Yes, a mistake, and Pang Shengzhou will certainly be looking to knock this in, and this time I wonder if he will hold for the black. He played one in the previous frame, went down for lower value colour. Nice shot.
One.
I think it was the right shot this time to play, to hold for the black. Oh dear.
One.
There was a red directly above the black, which kind of made it, whatever he did play, it was going to be awkward. He tried to push that red into the bunch. And of course what happens is, again, your mind isn't always entirely fixed on the pot.
Well, the earlier fluency has certainly gone away for now. Turned into a bit of a war of attrition.
One.
Couldn't do much there with the cue ball.
Marcel be one.
Got to be careful not to get the double kiss on this up and down safety. He avoided it by hitting it thin enough. I think he can pop one here and swing the cue ball round with the yellow there. Next pot, but he missed it. Got a bit more in keeping with how I thought the match would be rather than how it started. Frames were not too bad at the beginning and they were slow, but with, if it gets 10th, this could be quite a long match, I think, which is not unexpected.
Well, Pang, of course, has had two deciders already. Beat Gary Wilson on the first day, and then yesterday, of course, beat Mark Allen 6-5, but they had to come back there later in the day. They couldn't get it finished in the allotted session. I mean, it was a quintessential fall over the line job in the end, wasn't it? The way it finished.
I'll make a prediction. If it goes all the way this time, Dave, it won't finish it in this session either, because it will get more tense as the matches go on, the frames go on, with two players who are that way inclined. So I guess you just got to try and win it however long it takes.
Well, one thing is guaranteed: the organisers are not going to allow the O'Sullivan Ding match to be delayed, are they? There's going to be a massive crowd to get in for that, never mind start on time. So they've got a couple of hours, I guess, to get this finished. Still 5-1 to Shaun Murphy, who's in front in the next as well, against Zhou Yulong.
What does he do here with the cue ball is the question. Clearly he's going to take the red on. If you get underneath the cue ball and swing it round the angles, or does he feel that he could pot it plain ball and maybe take a gamble? Which reds he collides into? Playing it with right hand side, I think that was the third option to avoid the reds. Tried to. Turned out to be the worst option of the three in a way, didn't it? Because he did neither one thing nor the other.
Yeah, suddenly nothing's coming easy. It's all a little bit stop-start.
Marcel B1.
This frame seems to be going a long time. There's only 3 points on the board.
Foul. Marcel B4.
Well, it was a delicate shot, but he didn't get there.
Okay.
Trying the sort of, it's almost a sort of deliberate miscue, isn't it? It's all ground to a halt a little bit. Had a sort of swing at it, and then he did get there.
Well, it can only end two ways. This a chance to get up the table or re-rack. The chance to get up the table might come from a touching ball. No eye contact between the players yet for a re-rack, although, I mean, Selby looks poised. The way he's standing there, as if say, if you look over here, I'll give you the nod. If he's touching ball, it might end things.
Touching ball.
He might find a little route in behind the green. That would be the dream shot. If you can swing it round and get buried in behind the green. And he hasn't got to hit a red now because he's got a touching ball.
Very nearly got him in behind the green. It's a test of concentration. Selby usually immaculate in that regard. These frames don't suit everybody, clearly, but he wins his fair share of them.
Well, that is a mistake, isn't it? He's gifted a red, and has actually a very good chance he's left here. If he can roll this red and get on the blue, then all of a sudden the frame has been opened right up in one shot.
One. Three. Four. Six. Seven.
So the mists are clearing in this frame after that standoff. As I say, you do sort of favour Selby in these sort of frames, but he's got to get back on the front foot, which he is right now.
Yes, he's got that red to the right middle now of those four close together.
14.
Yeah, I mean, he tried to
15.
get that touching ball Pang in behind the green, but even in not doing so, Pang made a mistake. Played a containing shot which didn't contain anything because he just slightly sloppily, I thought, just left that red to right corner, which was a better leave than he may have first thought it was.
22.
Kind of opened up the whole frame.
$23. $29. $30.
suppose he could have played on the bottom red here and still thought it was better to play on the red up the table because it would clear the one above it.
.38.
So now you'd feel that he will take the frame from here because not a great deal to stop him down the centre of the table. The fact that he's playing on the right-hand red means the other two are clearly in play now, and he hasn't got a lot more work to do either.
44.
Red colour red will be sufficient.
.45.
Well, I'm sure he's pleased now he didn't offer that re-rack earlier on when it was all going nowhere. That one error from Pang was very significant. This is the red then.
51.
That gets him to the snooker's required position.
.52.
Typically steely visit from Selby. So these two proving hard to separate. There's never been more than a frame between them.
.59. 60. .67. 68.
Well, he's got this shot, slightly awkward angle. Could get
75.
make a century if this goes in, although, as you can see, he can't quite line up the pocket. It's out of his vision, the pocket from there. And that's why he missed it, but it was still a pretty telling break.
75 from
Yeah, really good 75 from Mark Selby. And so there's still nothing between these two for the third time. It's all square. A long way to go still, 3-3. Show You Long's pulled one back against Sean Murphy, 5-2 now. Still a long way back, obviously. They're just about to start that next frame when Sean returns. And to remind you, later on table 2 there, it'll be Judd Trump's Seejar Wee live on Discovery Plus, and on Discovery Plus and Eurosport, Ronnie O'Sullivan against Ding Junhui. That's only 3 hours away now. 12:30 UK time, 1:30 CET. It's the night session, Shanghai. It's a dream matchup. I suppose you could only bet it if it was the final, really, but there'll be a massive crowd in, clearly, for that one. So 3-3, and both players have left the arena. Mark Selby and Pang Chungzu, as I say, still a way to go yet. 5-2 now to Sean Murphy against Show You Long, so Zhou's won frame 7. And in 3 hours, we'll be enjoying the start of Ronnie O'Sullivan against Ding Junhui. That's the glamour match clearly later, but also Judd Trump against Si Jiahui, which in itself I think will be very entertaining. We can just drop in on Murphy and Zhou there. I'm sure Murphy's looked very good so far this week, as indeed as his opponent, but he's in a bit of trouble here, obviously 5-2 down. A great arena this, the Shanghai Indoor Stadium, big crowds, real prestige feel. Of course, it's one of the great cities of the world, Shanghai. So it's not the first tournament of the season, strictly speaking. Obviously, we've had the Championship League, but it's a first knockout event, and it is, in early season, a massive prize to win, isn't it? 210,000 to the winner on Sunday.
Yeah, even when this was a ranking event, it was one of these tiered ranking events, and it kind of was the last to leave and go back to, well, they didn't want it to go back to the open draw. And interestingly, a lot of tournaments are going back to being tiered again now, so it's not an experiment that didn't work, but you know, it seems that the top players are going to be put through some rounds again in events.
Well, there it is, 3-3.
Frame 7, Pang Junxu to break.
Pang Junxu to get us underway in frame 7. 3 each with Mark Selby. Peggy Lee just trying to call for a bit of quiet. The referee later, Zheng Weili, will have his work cut out, I think, with the O'Sullivan Ding match. But the thing there is, they're both really popular, both players, so it'd be a good atmosphere, I think. Remember when they played in the Masters all those years ago at Wembley Arena in the final? It got a bit unpleasant, but it won't be like that here tonight.
尽快就座，请不要再放观众下来了哈，谢谢，影响选手。
Well, Peggy just laying down the law to somebody. Didn't affect Selby though.
1。
Well, yes or no. Doesn't look like there's going to be room, and the expression on his face confirms that. He couldn't really have gone into that bunch with any more pace on the ball, but you'd need luck, and he didn't get any, quite honestly. Can't think there's a path through to anything through that gap between the reds. And he hasn't got a touching ball either, so he can't play directly away. Could have been luckier.
Yeah, I mean, it was very positive, but that's the frustrating thing about this sport. You don't always get the immediate rewards.
Mark Selby 5.
that was a thin contact. He didn't mean to quite hit as little of the red as he did, and that's why the cue ball has gone too far, because it wasn't meant to be played at that sort of angle, really. I think he tried to hit more of it, would have stopped the cue ball in the bulk area.
One.
That's no good at all. No good at all. Balls are not running all that well in this frame for Selby. A couple of chances he had have not amounted to anything.
Selby one.
Another opening, potentially. Not to be.
No, I think it's been a frustrating frame, this one, already. We've not been going that long, but in the time we have been going, you know, he's had 3 opportunities which have amounted to nothing, Selby.
Well, he's got another one. A much more straightforward opener coming up.
I think he was just looking at the red close to the black spot, whether he needed to pot it straight away to free the black, and but I don't think that will be necessary when the black goes back on its spot, or
One.
if it would happen to be the pink, it will certainly not be interfered with by the red above it. But as you say, it's a good chance, this. Say it again, and I do say this a lot, but the best
7.
of 11 in a match like this can be a very long session. And we've been going 2.5 hours or so playing time, and we're not really that close to finding out who's going to win the match. So in one session, they can be long.
8.
This is the irony with the UK Championship, when obviously that used to be best of 17, and there was a lot of gnashing of teeth about changing it to best of 11, but actually the sessions have ended up longer because Obviously, best of 17, it was over 2 sessions. You could get matches that were runaways. You didn't see that much snooker, actually, sometimes in the second session.
It's very true, and if you know you're playing the first 8 frames of a 2-session match, invariably the pressure hasn't quite ramped up at that stage, and it's quite flowing, isn't it?
We will, of course, in the semi-finals here, have best of 19s. So we'll have
15.
each semi-final on a separate day, just one table.
Nice little gap between the 2 reds there, but goodness me, what a miss. Now, he's been in 4 times in this frame and made 21, and that was a pretty glaring error, let's be honest. I mean, yes, there was a gap, there's ready either side, but both of those reds were not in the way of the pocket. So he had a full pocket to aim at, and he just missed a sitter.
This is the problem when you sort of tell yourself, I'm going to enjoy it this season. Things can happen that don't make it enjoyable.
One. Four. Five.
Well, that's not perfect by any means. He wanted to be a lot straighter. He didn't want to have to go into this red above the black, but he has absolutely no choice now. So let's see how he copes with the little deft cannon he has to play. Reasonably well.
12.
Got to avoid the pink this time, if you can. Part of this really doesn't want to hit that. They can't avoid it.
13.
But it looks to be okay. He doesn't like it at all, but it isn't that bad. It's just the awkwardness maybe of getting to this one. I wonder if he might... I thought as a right-hander he might be able to lean across and reach the brown, but perhaps it's just a bit too far over the cue ball. He's going to have to find a way here because it's a good leave and he has to ensure this goes in. The more he looks at it, the harder it's going to seem. wasn't a really difficult shot by any means. It was just a question of how he was going to line the shot up without fouling a ball, I think. He's not very good now
15.
positionally. Well, this turns out to be an absolutely brilliant shot. It's only just crept in, but I was thinking that things were grinding to a halt, actually, because he took an eternity on that yellow, and the next shot was that one. So he's played 2 shots in quite a long time, but the second of which was a very effective one. Now a little cannon on the red and the pink. Well, that's what he should have done.
$23.
Didn't play on this red. Drop it in the hole for the black. Well, to be honest, he really did.
23.
He's kind of hit the rocks a little bit there. I mean, what a meal he made of that break.
Yeah, it's sort of how the match is going now. Before the interval, they were pretty clinically taking their chances, these two. But since the interval, it's been harder work. And there you go, misses the cannon, so still hard work.
8. Marcel be 8.
Sean Murphy's won 6-2. He's made 5 half centuries. The key break in frame 5, he cleared with 66 to win on the black there and lead 4-1. So Sean Murphy, first man into the semi-finals. He'll play the winner of this match. Well, it's now a very open table. You can see there's danger here. Mark Selby's not on one. Certainly not an easy one. Maybe a shot to nothing here. But as I say, danger. Potential to leave one. Well, he's found it.
Yeah, played it nicely. Needs a nudge now. Yeah, he'd be more than happy with that. And as I say, he got in 4 times early in the frame, the last of which was a bad error. And now he finds himself with another opportunity, but it's a clear-cut one. And the black's a little safe, but the pink's very much in play. Nothing much on the scoreboard to separate the players.
Five. Six.
No, she's got to try and put this frame away now. 4-3, and then
12.
potential chance to pull away. It's not happened yet from either side in this match. It's always been just one frame between them.
13.
Yeah, the bottom red would be troublesome, but you won't need that. You can win the frame prior to that being potted, although you get the feeling even if you did need it, you could roll it in down this cushion, dropping in nicely.
19.
But you'll see that 2 reds and 2 colours takes him over the line, barring snookers.
20.
With the angle he's got, he might have to play on that red now. Just top side of being straight.
$26.
I think the bottom line with Mark Selby, he'll never not be a great competitor, and of course that's why he's had the remarkable career that he has done. In all those big matches over the years, the amount of times he's dug deep and come good. It's taken a toll as well, obviously. All that focus and concentration. But here we are, this is frame ball. Just want to make sure this red, and then that will definitely be 4-3 to Selby. It was a rather trying frame at times, I think, but he got in, as I say, with that shot to nothing, and has carried on here.
$40. 42. $45.
Well, Pang has a deserved reputation for making things tough, and he has done, but he's playing the master of that, really.
49. $54.
The question is, can Selby now really take control by winning the next? Chance
60.
still to get this match won without sort of last gasp scramble that Pang Zhengzhou came through yesterday with Mark Allen, and indeed against Gary Wilson in the previous round. We'll see. But Selby's won this frame.
67, Mark
So
Selby, and the frame.
the 2011 Shanghai Masters champion is back in front of 4-3. Now, I mentioned that Sean Murphy had come through. You may well have been keeping an eye on this on Discovery Plus, but this is how the match ended. Quite a fluent display from Murphy, which is what you expect from him, of course, when he's playing well. 5 half-centuries in the match. And this was one in the last frame.
Yeah, he's such a dangerous player, isn't he? He does look like he's playing well again, which is nice to see. Never felt he was gonna surrender such a big lead in the match. He was 5-1 up at one point, so it felt like it was just a question of time.
So Zhou Yulong's terrific run in this event ends. Sean Murphy, the winner, 6-2. All 4 quarterfinals today pit an Englishman against a Chinese player. And so far, it's England, Sean Murphy, the first man into the semis. He'll play the winner of this match, of course. Mark Selby 4, Pang Zhengzhou 3. Best of 11, so Selby needs 2. There's never been more than a frame between them. He's hoping, obviously, that will change here. It's been a highly focused display. Mark Selby's first tournament of the season, of course, won yesterday against Chaz in the wildcard, but I'm sure he was expecting more stubborn resistance from Pang, and he certainly had that. Waiting for our cue to get going in frame 8.
Frame 8, Mark Selby to break.
Yeah, I mean, there have been breaks in this match. Selby's had 83, 80, 75 and 60. Pang's had 62 and 91. Other times there's been a bit of safety, there's been mistakes, there's been all the sort of elements you expect, really. But what we're going to have now, we're down to the real business end. Pang's got to dig in, try and stay close.
Well, played to screw it with the left-hand side. He didn't get all that close to potting it.
Touching ball.
Yeah, so we're just looking at the middle red of the three, the one on the right of those three as we look, but it's the middle one, and if it will just go past the bottom one. Yeah.
One.
Could be on the pink to middle here, which would be crucial. This goes in, it's giving him a good chance. Now does the pink go on its own spot, or will have to go on to the highest available, the black? The latter of the two.
7.
Well, that's a good early chance, this, to get something going. He's looked positive overall today, Selby. He's been trying to make things happen. The last World Championship he won, he beat Sean Murphy in the final. They could have a rematch here at the weekend. In the semis, Murphy already through. And of course we talk about the class of '92, understandably, the three legends, Mark, Ronnie and John, but the sort of generations after them have come through in quite golden periods, and Selby and Murphy, Neil Robertson's in that group as well, same age. Remarkable players, of course, all now in their early 40s.
$15.
The good part about that shot was the cue ball just staying planted in the middle of the table.
20.
And usually, almost always when that happens, the reds open up nicely as well. It's when you glance off the bunch and see the cue ball travel around that the reds don't usually split. Hard to see how he could have played that last shot any better than he did.
$21.
I don't like that one in particular, though, because he has awkward cueing now, and it'd be nice to think he could reach it without the spider, but I tell you, that shot means that his next one is more difficult than it should be. It's more getting the cue ball out of there and playing it with a bit more pace, which means, of course, you can miss those pots. To make sure you didn't touch a ball with his cue, of course, which he didn't.
Yeah, he also didn't pull a muscle, which is always dangerous as well, playing it that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations. I think as you get older, you could probably get yourself into that position to play
29.
that shot, but you might be able to get yourself off the table afterwards very easily.
Well, he's got them kind of where he wants them now. He's got everything in the open, so it's up to Mark Selby to just keep some control here and, for the first time, move 2 frames in front.
$34. $35. 42. 43.
Yes, he's certainly getting the upper hand now. I noticed actually Pang at the end of that previous frame, he looked quite tired. He has played long matches. It's more, I think, mental fatigue sometimes. It's not going to get any easier. 2-6-5s and then coming up in the best of 11 against Mark Selby, who, you know, he has to be scraped
50.
off the table. So I think when it was 4-3,
51.
Pang looked a little bit as if he his concentration had to be sort of cranked up a little bit. Made a few mistakes since then. Selby just does what he does. Nothing much changes there.
58. 59. 66.
Well, the highest break of the tournament so far is his good friend Barry Hawkins, 141. It is worth 10,000.
67.
Seven makes it.
$74.
For frame ball.
$75.
He could have theoretically tied the break there, but not now. Main thing is he's wrestled free of Pang Zhengzhou, which has been difficult today. We had 16 centuries in the first 3 days, and Zhou Yuyong had one today,
80.
so 17 so far.
$81.
It's just freeing the pink and the red, whether that was intentional, not too sure actually, but I think that the tables are conducive to good scoring. The pockets are not small, but in some ways that can make the build-up to your chance even more significant, you know, the tactical side of it, because you can't pot them all the time, so safety is even more crucial, I think. Surely not going to go in.
Mark Selby, 81 from Concede.
Fine 81 though from Selby, so in what's been quite a tough encounter, he's suddenly a big favourite. He needs one more for victory, leading 5-3. So Pang Zhengzhou up against it here. 5-3 down. Mark Selby. A frame from
Frame 9, Pang Junshu to
meeting
break.
with his good pal Sean Murphy in the semi-finals here in Shanghai. Raced in behind the green, but it's a big target. It's a pack of reds. Remember, in 2 hours now, we'll be watching Ronnie O'Sullivan and Ding Junhui, and also Judd Trump and Si Jiaowei. It's going to be a big, big night of snooker here in Shanghai.
Touching ball.
Well, he just about got there and didn't hit the pink, although it kind of seemed like it was on his way at one point. Yes, and in the early stage of this match, no doubt that Pang Junhui was, if anything, getting the advantage from the safety battle, which is not something many players could do against Mark Selby. But as the match has gone on, Selby has worn away at him a little bit. And Pang might have to try and be a little bit more enterprising. A couple of times he, in that frame to go 4-3 down, he slowed the game down. He got a chance, and he was out of rhythm by then, which can happen. I think sometimes he brings it on himself a little bit. It happened against Mark Allen, despite him winning. He's a very good match player, Pang, but doesn't necessarily impose himself on the match like some younger players might. Still in there. If a red goes to the right middle at the bottom of the bunch where they can see enough of it, he's come round to have a look. He would be doing damage, I think, if he was to play it and miss it. Now, he already knocked in a wonderful plant up into the yellow pocket in an early frame, which he made a big break from. This, whether it goes or not, he's not quite as in line because there's a gap between the reds, and he's not directly behind the first red. So it makes you think that it's more difficult, but it is a similar sort of shot to the one he potted earlier. Shake of the head, he doesn't really like it. result as the one earlier. He took a long time overseeing it and then rifled it straight in. But now, positionally, got to get from colour to red here. Pink, probably. He goes up and down on the pink. He's got to avoid the yellow on the way there and the way back. I think it was on his mind that he had to get by the yellow, which he managed to do, but then no good if he missed the pot. Selby with an early in. Well, I think if he was to go on and win this frame here and win 6-3, the result would look a little more convincing than it has been. It's been a hard-fought battle, this. I expected nothing less. Has he gone far enough when the black respots? I think so.
8. Nine.
Well, the bottom line is Selby now has his chance to get the match won, set up that semi-final with Shaun Murphy.
$40. $15.
Yeah, that main bunch of reds are very tightly packed together at this stage. I don't think he can do anything about it just yet. I think he'd be happier to just pick off the balls that are available and get himself a few in front. It might be that from the blue
22.
into those tightly grouped reds would be the best way.
$23. $27. $28.
Even here is a little bit on the straight side to go into them.
$35.
Well, he's left himself slightly hampered.
36.
Yeah, I think just limited the pace he could get on the cue ball there with accuracy to finish at the right end of being on the blue. Now he's, having not gone into the bunch already, he's got it's a more difficult task to get them open, quite frankly, at this break. He's going the long route round for the red. But this table is so quick that it's hard to judge that shot.
41.
I wouldn't know for sure whether he played on the red into that right corner, given that the red is so far over to the left. But that is what's happened.
$42.
Oh, that is perfect. And you could not put it any better with your hand as to get from black into those tightly bunched reds. So this is a shot will tell you if the match is on the brink of being over. Well, he's got to save you that red up the table.
49.
Yeah, he's made his move, hasn't he, from 3-3. And he's been positive today, Selby. He's attacked. He's made several sizable breaks.
50.
It's true that the circuit, particularly late on in the season, it can turn into a bit of a grind, one tournament after another, which is what the players want, obviously. But if you're not getting the results, you can understand why he was downbeat towards the end of the campaign. Obviously, the Crucible ended in the first round defeat. But he's had a nice break. He loves snooker through and through, we know that. It's been his whole life. And you always get the sense that he can come good at any time. Certainly in these big tournaments. He's won 7 ranking events in China, after all, including the Shanghai Masters when it was a ranking tournament.
Well, I think the Crucible can bring out the best and the worst in every player. I mean,
55.
I bet you there's a number of players who have driven away from the Crucible after a disappointing result and said, right, that's me, I'm done. I can think of a few. And then, of course, you have a little bit of time. Get to realise that you've got the Shanghai Masters coming up after a long break, and all of a sudden your vigour for the game is renewed. There's no feeling quite like winning, and he is on the brink of it. However, this next shot is not simple.
Yeah, he needs one more good shot, really.
You're looking at the black, but you feel that the blue is a better shot, even though that the natural path from potting the blue is into the green, if you're not careful here. He's managed to avoid it. Now he needs the cue ball to hold up on this quick table. If it bounces, well, he'll be on the red to the left, but anyway.
61.
Yeah, so this red and Pang will need a snooker. In the end, Mark Selby has made 6 half-centuries, so it's been, scoring-wise, a very strong performance. His safety was good, as you'd expect. Pang certainly posed a lot of problems early on, but second half of the match, or certainly from 3-3 anyway, Mark Selby has pulled away.
He's played pretty well, hasn't he? I think
66.
He'll know that he can play better. He has missed a few. No one's going to...
67.
Very few occasions you're going to go through a whole match without any mistakes being made, but in the main, I think he'd have to be impressed. He's been attacking enough when he wants to be, so I think the blend, and he's got just about right today.
Well, 19 frames
74.
of Mark Selby, Sean Murphy will be something to look forward to, and that will be the semi-final in this half of the draw.
75.
Mentioned right at the start, 2 boyhood friends. They grew up together playing on the junior circuit, playing at Willie Thorne's in Leicester, in all those junior events, learning their way. Here they are all these decades on, still at the top of the game, contending for another big title this weekend. Pang
82.
Zhengzhou has come through 2 deciders against Gary Wilson and Mark Allen, but just been outfoxed at the end of this match
83.
by one of the absolute masters of our sport. Pang did lead 3-2, so he's lost the last 4 frames. Can Selby in with a century now? Every chance.
$90. 91. $98.
The yellow for the ton. Yeah, fine way to bring the curtain down on this match.
Indeed, he saved the best to last, doesn't he? It's he threatened to make bigger breaks.
103.
I think it's nice to, the memory of a match would be to finish with a century. His all-round game looks in
107.
reasonably good shape early season.
It's good to see Mark Selby here. He enhances any event.
112.
And it will be a fascinating semi-final with Sean Murphy, who's playing great stuff himself. So how about this black then? Where's it heading? Not in a pocket, but who cares? He made breaks of 83, 80, 75, 60, 81, and the closing 118. Mark Selby advances to the semi-finals here in Shanghai. He'll take on Sean Murphy. He's won 6-3.